Hey, good afternoon. Today I'm going to be talking about NSA surveillance on American citizens. You'll notice I'm going to be using the timer on my phone, my mother's phone. My phone's recording, since I don't have anyone to give me the time in the back. So I'm going to start now. Good afternoon. Today's topic is going to be NSA unwarranted surveillance of American citizens. Throughout history, you'll notice that there have been many different groups or organizations run by governments that have observed their citizens, probably against the wishes of said civilians. You can go back and you can look at Caesar Augustus's Praetorians, for example, who served not only as a bodyguard, as most people know, but also as a secret police. There's the Soviet NKVD, which would later become the KGB, notorious for doing exactly the same thing. And probably the most famous of all, not the Nazi Gestapo, run by Hitler. But to some people today, they would argue that there are American government organizations doing the same thing, namely the NSA, the National Security Agency, and to a less well-understood extent, the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. The observation of citizens by the government in this manner, without warrant, without proper cause, is wrong and unethical and probably unconstitutional. So there are some arguments that people would make in favor of this sort of thing, though. The first one would be that if the government can observe, say, a terrorist and stop him quickly without getting a warrant, then they're doing the right thing, because getting a warrant may have taken too long, and then as a result, the terrorist attack may have occurred. While that sounds good in practice, in reality, it hasn't really worked out. Essentially, a member of the White House press board on NSA surveillance said that no major terrorist attacks had been stopped at all by NSA surveillance. Some people would argue a different thing. They would say that the NSA is just observing foreign citizens. It's not observing Americans. That's not accurate either. It's only a half-truth. The NSA monitors contact between Americans and foreign nationals. So, while it's true they are observing foreigners, they are also recording the conversations that they're having with the Americans, so they're observing Americans. On top of that, they're not just observing those sorts of conversations either. They're also observing Americans in general. All information that travels across domestic networks, is a copy of that is kept by the NSA. The last major argument that people would make against it, and really an ethical argument, a debate then, would be that the government shouldn't have to get a warrant. It shouldn't matter. Some cultures and types of people are used to a strong government that just does as it wishes without the consent of the people, and don't really believe in our style of representative democracy. If you believe in the American principle and the ideas of our foundings, then you will have to admit that that just does not work. That is not compatible with the American principle. That is not compatible with what we, as future naval officers, have signed up to protect. So it just, at that point, it is really a matter of personal opinion, but in this country, in the United States, it is wrong. So the arguments against it are pretty straightforward. First off, like I said before, it doesn't really work. We know that it hasn't stopped anything major, so from a practical standpoint, it's pointless. We're just violating civil liberties without getting any benefit from it. From the standpoint of who they're observing, we need to know that they're observing American citizens, which is just plain wrong without a warrant. And the constitutional argument against it comes from the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment essentially states that all people should be protected from unreasonable searches and seizures of their property. Well, one of the terms that they use is papers. If we're going to apply this to the 21st century, then we ought to apply that to someone's internet conversations and search history. So then, if we can apply it that way, and if that interpretation of the Constitution is accepted, then this is just straight unconstitutional because they don't have a warrant. Now, if they have a warrant and it's a valid target, I believe they should 100% do surveillance on that person or people. They are supposed to keep us safe and protect us. But they need the warrant. The last major argument against what the government has been doing with this surveillance and why it's unethical is the method they've gone about it. As Edward Snowden was the whistleblower who told us about this, and the fact that a whistleblower told us and the government didn't admit it just goes to show that they were trying to deceive us. Snowden claimed that he was disgusted by the fact that nobody really had a vote in this, not just citizens of America, but citizens of the world. The government just did it without telling anyone, which is deceitful and wrong. If a naval junior officer were to go through the phones of his entire division without telling them, that would cause not only a major scandal on his or her ship, but it would also cause a major scandal throughout the Navy. So if this is wrong for one individual to do, then how is it not wrong for the entire government to do? In conclusion, I think that the government, if they want to conduct surveillance on an American citizen, ought to get a warrant and do everything properly, and they should be clear with the people what they are doing and why. Thank you. That's all I have for today.